Nadia.
Hello.
How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I had this topic in mind for today that I wanted to ask you about, and I hope you don't get sensitive about it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I wanted to talk about relationship stuff.
Okay.
um,
Awesome.
Being that you are in your third year of college, um, I do feel like, and we might have talked about this before, some people feel like they're supposed to meet their partner forever in college, or at least I feel like people used to think about that before. Is that a thought that goes, like, is that a discussion that happens amongst your friends at all?
Oh, totally. I mean, I feel like, especially in college, those romantic relationships, and I mean, actually, relationships in general, just tend to be a lot stronger and than the relationships you might have had with friends in high school or with romantic partners in high school. So definitely. And I also feel like once you're in college and if you stay dating someone throughout college, like there's a level of commitment there and the next step would be is very like much like moving in a marriage and all that. But a lot of what I feel like examples that I see are mostly from like people online or TV shows, not necessarily my own friends, although we do talk about all that all the time, but mostly from coming from a place of like I feel like I'm supposed to find my husband right now, but I haven't, or like there's no one here for me, so I like that I like not being on quote unquote the right track, you know. But I don't know. I would say that there's no like pattern, like people are getting engaged and all that
Oh,
on I mean
yeah.
online.
Do you have
Like
people that are getting engaged in college? Do you know people?
well, no one that I know. I just mean like on social media recently a lot of people have been getting engaged or people on my feed have been getting engaged, not people that I know, like influencers. And they're all different ages, but like I'm getting now that I'm 20, I just feel like after that I was just talking about this with a friend like I mean, actually, in relationship to being pregnant, like in my head, I say right now, like, oh, I'm having a baby, like then it's like, oh, you're so young, like it's too early to have a baby. But then once you hear someone that's like 23 having a baby, like they're still young, but they're more of an adult, more of an adult, but um that's only 3 years away. So that makes things feel like like I feel like I'm gonna have to be on a certain path in a couple of years that I don't like. I can't see myself on that right now, but I know if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It's definitely something we talked about.
Well, I feel like there are some people that, actually, I have a question. What are your thoughts on sex before marriage?
I feel like I mean, I feel like in the environment that I'm in, not a lot of that's not very common. Or I guess maybe I'm not like, I'm not out really talking about stuff like that with people who are waiting until marriage. But I mean, I guess it's more like a teach their own thing. And a lot of people, the reason why a lot of people do is because of religion and stuff like that in their beliefs. And I'm not gonna be like, I don't know, it'd be weird if we were forcing people to have sex before marriage. Um, but I don't know. I guess whatever your personal preference and beliefs are, I wouldn't really
Yeah,
force
it's not
that
really
on
our business
anybody.
to each their own. But
Yeah.
some people feel like have pretty strong opinions, like that, like you
Hmm.
said, dictates whether or not you should have such an intimate connection with somebody before making like a
Hmm.
full commitment through marriage. Um, And then other people feel the opposite, like, oh my gosh, you need to like definitely have sex with somebody before you get married because that's going to be your partner for life. You should probably make sure that, you guys are compatible.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the way most people think, and then there's another side of like they're gonna find the people that are waiting are gonna find ways that they're compatible, like that aren't like sexual or
Hmm.
intimate like that. But yeah,
Yeah, because
I
you can
wouldn't
be
have to. Yeah.
compatible. Like maybe like a couple, two people are naturally compatible without even trying.
Hmm.
And then
Right.
other people who love each other may not be naturally compatible without even trying, but they can make the effort to like figure out how to like um,
Yeah.
be compatible.
And yeah, I also think the waiting till marriage like also comes from a certain like set of beliefs that like marriage is or should be the end goal, and sometimes people don't think that like you can be fully committed without being married, that's why some
Hmm.
people don't get married, because they feel like they're fully committed already. They don't really need like an external thing that feels like it's been forced upon them to do
Hmm.
because like society wants them to. But yeah,
There are other reasons
that's
that people get married, even if they don't believe in the institution of marriage. Our society or our like laws sometimes make it easier for two people to be connected with each other if they're married. Like little things like
mm-hmm.
being able to be in somebody's hospital room when they're sick if they're not your partner, like your official partner, your
Yeah,
husband or wife, or I don't know,
citizenship.
passing benefits along if somebody passes, or um, like tax situations often favor people getting married, that type of thing.
Yeah, I just said citizenship also. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not a U.S. citizen, then
Yeah.
I mean that just leads to a whole set of other things. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, if
I
you're
think
not legally in, like if you don't have citizenship in the United States, your partner's in the United States, you want to stay in the United States, like marriage helps that.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like when you talk about things like waiting till marriage too, it's a little bit. You kind of also had to talk about like abortion rights and all that stuff, because I feel like the the in I don't know. I guess this is a general statement. Like people that wait until marriage are usually um, pretty religious, and religious individuals also are more like against abortion and all that. And so if you're waiting until marriage, then like fully like if you have sex and end up getting pregnant, like your partner's fully committed to you. So like there's like that sense of I don't know, responsibility. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
what the word
But you
for it
could be
is,
married to
but
somebody. You can be married to somebody, have a kid with them, and you and that one of the partners can just totally be deadbeat. You know what I mean? Like not
well,
even
yeah, but
help.
like that's yeah, I'm just saying like a very general statement that that's the sense that I get from like those who have like very traditional values.
Hmm.
Um so I don't know. Like they also like I don't know. There's a lot to go into that, but that's also not everybody,
Do
obviously.
you feel like there's people in your life that might feel pressured continue forward with somebody because they're already with them? Like, okay, well, I'm already with the person, so I guess we have to get married next after this. But they haven't really like
Um,
thought about whether or
maybe
not that
not.
person's the right partner.
Maybe not in that sense. Not in the sense of like, I guess I have to stay with them and get married. I don't know. It's a little. I feel like we're like at the age that me and most of my friends are right now. Like that's not the next step. It's kind of just I don't even know. It's
Yeah,
not
that's true.
necessarily
Like,
like
is
I
your
have
next
to
step?
get. It's not
Sorry.
marriage yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's probably some time where you're like, you go through high school, you go through college, you get married. That's definitely the next step. But perhaps your
We're
generation is
still,
thinking like, after college, now I have my own independent life as my own human being, and then I
yeah.
try to go find somebody as a partner.
Yeah, and also like I don't know. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't say that like they're thinking like marriage is like they're not thinking about marriage in that way.
Mhm.
It's just it's that feels a little almost too far. Although we do talk about it, it's not like I'm not sure. I mean,
Maybe you
I'm like
talk,
talking from other people's experiences, so.
yeah. Speaking of talking about other people's experiences, do you feel like because you haven't had very many relationships, like
Mhm.
official relationships,
Mhm.
that your friends that have had more relationships,
Mhm.
like, are open to hearing your perspective on things?
Um I mean, they're open to it. I'm not sure how much they take it to heart. I also don't know. I also like doubt myself a little bit when I do end up in like those situations where I'm like, I don't know, speaking on another person's relationship or anything like that. Because I also don't trust myself, like to say the right thing. But I don't know. I feel like it can be helpful in the times that I have been in a situation, not a relationship, but like where I needed advice and a guy or something like that. It's helpful to hear someone's like completely unbiased point of view,
Hmm.
whether or not they've been in a relationship before, because they're not looking at the situation from the same perspective you are, like an outsider's perspective. Like they don't like that individual as much as you like them, so they're not gonna, spare their feelings or your feelings or anything like that. They just want, hopefully, your friends just want what's best for you. But in times where I'm giving advice, I don't know. I feel like in high school, I really didn't trust myself to give advice because I really didn't know what I was talking about. But now, I think I'm coming from more of a place like I feel pretty good being independent on my own, like not having to saying that like I don't want to be in a relationship, but I've done a pretty good job like being like not in a long-term relationship. And so I feel like more times than not I'm speaking on like how like what I've liked being like on my own single, I guess. Single life. Not that I don't know. I it's a different perspective than I would have come from in high school. And I also don't fully trust myself, but I like giving a more unbiased advice to kind of I don't know the situation, but I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like you're going in half thoughts about whether or not you're somebody that should be giving advice versus not giving advice.
I don't know if it's like I definitely like giving advice, but it's up to the person I give it to like take it to heart.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm never like giving advice like you have to follow it, like all this stuff. Like I know what's right type advice. More
Have you
like
ever had a
this
friend
is
that
what I
like?
think.
Have you ever had a friend that started dating somebody that just changed themselves, like, or who changes
Who?
themselves with every person that they date, and you feel
Um,
like like
not. I mean, honestly, no. I think a lot of the people I'm friends with, are not the type to do that.
yeah,
But also,
I have this
yeah,
friend whose um sister like has dated a bunch of different people, and with each person that they date, they kind of like change their personality to match the person that they're dating, you know?
yeah, I
Like if
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I
mhm.
think I've made friends with a lot of very like I don't even know the word. Just like girls who stand their ground, like they're not gonna give up what they like for
Mhm.
another person type thing.
Mm.
Or
I, I
like,
I
I
think
don't
she
know.
wouldn't talk about it that way. I think she would just say like, "I'm dating this person. I like them, and they're really into it, and I'm open to whatever they're into, and I want to give it a."
Well, right now, no. I guess we'll kind of see. I mean,
Mhm.
still also at the age, obviously me, but also my friend, not all of my friends have been in like long-term relationships. So I don't know yet. I don't
Mhm.
know. I haven't seen it happen yet, but I guess it could happen. I just don't really know if I like I can't even think on the top of my head if I could which one of my friends would do that, but I haven't experienced that. I'd probably say something though on the lines of naughty advice.
What about have you ever seen anybody go through a really difficult breakup?
No. Well, honestly, no. I think I've helped through a lot of different tough situations. People like relationships, but I have a lot of friends all over. I'm not always like physically there for these types of things, and it's more of a situation that they end up telling me later.
Mm-mm.
Or like thankfully all like my friends from home all have friends at their own colleges, so they have other people to lean on in that way. But I think most of the like harder breakups that my friends from home have been through, I wasn't like physically there to support them in that way. It was more like, you know, uh, um, over text and stuff.
Mhm. Have you ever had a
But
friend that totally like after they started dating somebody ditched all of their friends? Like all they had time for was the person that they were dating?
I mean, I definitely seen it happen before, which like me not in a relationship is like, why would you do that? Like, you don't hang out with any of us anymore. Not like to them, but in my head, like you don't hang out with any of us anymore. Like, how what's the fun in that? But then I also like when you like someone, why wouldn't you spend all that time with them? But I think like college, it's hard to have both, definitely, because you want to be fully into like basically two different lives, I guess.
I do feel like it's the role of the friend to be there for their friend, even if they are fully like immersed into their relationship.
Yeah,
Just to kind of understand that that's like, that's happening and you're their friend and you can just kind of be on pause for a little bit. And then when they're
right.
ready to come up for air, like you are still there for them. Um, but I think a lot of times people end up feeling like a lower priority for their friend and then they get personally hurt, you know?
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think, friendships are long and can last a long time. And when somebody's super into somebody and really trying to like spend all their time with them, I think there's a little bit of
yeah,
leeway there, right? Like let them do that thing for a bit. But if it gets to the point where their entire life is that relationship,
yeah,
then maybe you can kind of step in and say, "Hey,
yeah.
like."
I mean, thankfully, it hasn't happened to anyone that I'm like super like good for, super close with that like I see on a daily basis. But yeah, I mean, like I see both sides. I wouldn't want to. I feel like it'd be a lot of pressure if I was in a relationship and wanted to like I don't know. I want to supportive of both sides, but I am more times than not on the like friend side that can see it from an outside perspective of like how the relationship has affected their friendships. But thankfully, it hasn't affected any of my close friendships with any of my home friends or my school friends. So,
Hmm. Well, it's one thing if the friend is always hanging out with that person because they're just like having a good time. And it's
mm-hmm.
another thing if they're always hanging out with that new significant other because they're insecure and they feel like they always have to be around them, or that other person is like controlling and
Yeah,
always
yeah,
demands their time.
yeah. It's a fine line, I guess.
Hmm.
But I tend, yeah, I don't know. I feel like now I'm thinking about it, I tend to try to not have like very open opinions on other people's relationships until like they come to me for advice. So I don't want
Hmm.
to
Yeah, it's
like,
their
but
relationship.
if you want to spend like oh, like most of your time with them, like that's totally fine.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think of a lot of these situations as like, what would I not want to hear if I was in this situation myself?
Hmm.
But I don't know.
Yep. So, are you on any dating sites right now?
Well, like the same ones that we talked about before, but I don't really go on them because it's just like I just it's just kind of like the only word I think of describing it is just like bleh. Like I don't have like any motivation. Not that I had motivation before, but I just like it doesn't feel like it's something I want to put effort into.
Do
And
you know that I had this friend throughout elementary school and high school and college
mhm,
that we said that if we weren't married by the age of,
mhm,
at the time we said 27, which seems really young right now, but that we would marry each other. It was just it was not really serious when we were saying this. We were
mhm,
probably in our early 20s or something, or I don't know. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like that was good, a good little promise or whatever, because it seems like we were very young when we made
yeah,
these commitments.
mm,
But I just like had lunch with him recently, and he is still like out there looking for a partner. He's my age, so he's 47.
mhm,
He it's interesting. He's really like he wants to find a partner, so he's on a lot of different dating sites, and it's really interesting to listen to a 47-year-old talk about like how they date. Like it's like one date, maybe
mhm.
two, and then this isn't going to work out. He's like, I feel like at our age, people know. So then you go on one date, maybe two, and then you just kind of fade away if you don't feel like it's going to
Yeah, but
work out.
like for me, especially with like maybe it's like social media, and also sometimes or all the time I have high expectations, but just like on dating apps like that, like people are supposedly putting out their like best self, best pictures, whatever. And get, if I already don't like what I see on the pictures, and I'm not, I'm not gonna put effort into it, and more times than not, that's what happens. Or it's like, oh, like maybe I would think he's cute if I saw him in person, but I don't like this like vibe. So then it's just like a whole bunch of like I'm trying to pursue things that I don't wouldn't normally pursuing if it was in actual real life.
Hmm.
But
He did say that he has to like he has to make a lot of like effort to like the guys are expected to like swipe whichever is the way that you're saying you want them. Which way is that?
mhm, right.
um, Swipe right to a lot of
Mhm.
people in order to even get any like connections, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
don't
give it a
know.
try. And I've also heard people say that they put like they thought about putting like a not that great picture on the dating app, so that when they actually meet the person's like, oh wow, they're a lot better looking than I thought they'd be.
I mean, yeah, granted, like girls take a lot more pictures than guys usually do. So
Mhm.
sometimes like there's that, but I just like I don't know. It's not been my vibe, which is like fine. But then I don't know. I also, especially at like the eight, like at 20, like I mean at 47, like you kind of know where people's usually where like what intent the intentions of the person you're
Mhm.
talking to is, but like at 20, I mean you also know, but like it's not that's not what I it's not really what I want. So kind of have like a lot of other things to think about. And while I feel like I have that imaginary space for it, I just can't do it off of a dating app. It's not
Mhm.
gonna happen.
All right.
But
Well, I feel like we intended on talking about something new, but then we ended up talking about something that we've talked about a few times in the past. Relationships,
Yeah,
and then back to you.
in marriage.
Marriage. I don't mean to say that this is something that you really need to be concerning yourself with right now, but I did
No.
think to myself, oh my gosh, Nadia's 20. It
I
is
feel
really
like
weird for me to
it's
think about you being
been,
20.
it's, I honestly like, this is something I talk about all the time. I actually said like this whole weekend because I had a friend from home visit and I was talking about, or we were actually both talking about how we want to get married right now, but not to a specific person just because everyone's posting their weddings and we want a wedding. I want a
Mm.
wedding. I don't want to get married right
Well, I guess
now.
that seems like still like very um, hypothetical because actually
Not
planning a wedding,
really.
but actually planning a wedding is so much work and also so much money.
Yeah, but like that's the point. I want something really, well, whatever. It's not super I mean, it's hypothetical, but also very feels like it's coming close because it will be.
Is your friend from home dating anybody?
No. Why are you asking right now?
You brought her up.
Um, but yeah. So, and I talk about these things all the time. I have my other friend from home already crafting my wedding on Pinterest. So I don't really like, this isn't, I don't know.
She's
I'm
crafting
not
your
a mood
wedding, but not
board.
hers.
Just crafting a lot of people's. This Pinterest is awesome. But I don't know. We'll see. This is just gonna become a podcast of just track how long Nadia can stay single for.
Maybe you can put this on your profile on
Oh
one of those dating
God.
apps.
Never ever.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.